So just start on vitamin D?
Yep, go for it.
So this is the overview of vitamin D. So vitamin D is I would argue one of the most important molecules in the entire human body, at least as it relates to health. Now, the reason why is that from a genetic standpoint, 3 to 5% of the entire human genome is controlled by vitamin D. That's massive. I'm not aware of another molecule that controls that much of the human genome. So what that means is that out of the 30,000-ish genes that is in the human genome that actually code for proteins, that means there's over 1,000 of them that are directly influenced by vitamin D. And vitamin D is not just from sunlight. I mean, there's really two factors about this profile. One is, can you readily synthesize vitamin D from the sun? And then is, can you use the vitamin D once it's in your blood? Now, there's three ways to get vitamin D into the blood. There's sunlight, there's food, and then there's supplements. And the thing about the sun is that there's about a half dozen genes between the sun and vitamin D in your blood. The basic thing that happens is that cholesterol flows through the blood, and cholesterol is a very important molecule. It's the basis of vitamin D. It's the basis of your sex hormones and stress hormones, and it's critical for the immune system. It's a mild antioxidant. It's approximately 50% of the structural integrity of all your cells. It's super important, and one of the main functions is to generate vitamin D. And what happens is that this cholesterol molecule goes to the surface of the skin, and there's a gene that helps take the UV light from the sun and then changes one of the bonds on cholesterol to put it through the first series of steps into making vitamin D. And then that vitamin D then travels and visits the liver, and then gets on a transport protein, and then visits the kidney to get methylated a second time, and then you've got the full vitamin D, called 125 cholecalciferol, and there's a couple ways that journey can be interrupted. So there's genes along each of that pathway, from the sunlight gene to the liver converting genes to the transport genes to what's in the kidney. And then there's also genes for inflammation, like interleukin 6 and TNF-alpha, that can divert vitamin D into the fat cells and take it away from the blood. And so that can affect your vitamin D levels. So the journey from sunlight to usable vitamin D in the blood is a bit long and bumpy. And also there's further complications because not all sunlight is created equal. So when I lived in New Zealand, there's only the summer months, and in New Zealand the summer is from the summer in New Zealand is actually from December to February, because it's the different side of the world. And there's two main types of UV light from the sun. One is UVA and one is UVB. UVA is the one that is most known for causing sunburns. UVB is the one that is actually the one that makes vitamin D. The problem is that based on the location you are in the world, and like the angle of the light of the sun as it hits that part of the world, and the time of day, and how much clothing you have on when you're outside, and how long, and what areas of your body, what surface area is in contact with the sun for how long, you've got different degrees of availability to make that first step of cholesterol to the first step into vitamin D possible. So in New Zealand, the only time of the year where you had UVB, because you can be in the sun, in winter, and it's a sunny day out, but the UVB isn't even there. It's UVA. So you can be outside in the sun in certain parts of the world, and there's no UVB to be had. So your vitamin D, you're not getting vitamin D, even though you might think you are. Even if you are in summer, and the UVB is only really available between about 11 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. So you have to be in this tight window outside with enough exposure of your skin for a long enough period of time to generate. So it's like it's a moving target as to how much vitamin D you can get. Now, fortunately, there's an app called D-Minder, like Reminder, but instead of the R-E at the beginning of Reminder, it's just the letter D, lowercase d, D-Minder. It's a wonderful app that takes into account all sorts of variables, like the location you are in the world, the day of the year, which accounts for the seasons, the time of day, how much melanin you have in your skin, what areas of your body are exposed, how long you're being exposed out in the sunlight for, etc. And it does all of these algorithms and can give you a reasonable estimate, which is all it can give, is a reasonable estimate of how many units of vitamin D you actually generated based on all those variables. It's a free app, D-Minder, at least it was when I downloaded it. So D-Minder, D-M-I-N-D-E-R. And that's the app you should use to see, like, if you are convinced, if you're really convinced that you're getting enough vitamin D from sunlight, great, prove it. Use the app and see how much vitamin D you actually are getting. And this is not, I'm not trying to be cute, I was totally floored by how little vitamin D I was actually getting when I started using this app. It's very sobering to see how much vitamin D you're actually generating. And that is assuming that you actually don't have meaningful number of red and yellow dots in this pathway from connecting sun all the way to the full vitamin D in the blood. So the app doesn't take into account, at least as far as I know, the genetic variations you may have on the journey from sunlight to vitamin D. So this is, I know we're spending a lot of time here talking about sunlight, but I just really want to bust this myth that enough sunlight will get you enough vitamin D. It might, but put some data to it, put some numbers to it, and now there's a convenient app to help you do that.